Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and I've got a fairly tense one for you today. This is Komodo Dagger in the French Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank, the M4A1 Ravioli. What? That's what it's called. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Tier 8 Medium. It's a Sherman, isn't it? That's a Tier 5. Well, yes. Well spotted. It is in fact a Sherman. It has exactly the same hull armour, front, side and rear. It has exactly the same turret armour, front, side and rear. But what it has that the Sherman doesn't is a really, really big gun. That 105mm gun is not too different from the 122mm BL9 gun that you see on the IS-3 Tier 8 Soviet heavy tank. In fact, in some respects, it's better. It has better aiming time, better accuracy, better rate of fire. In fact, the only category in which the IS-3's BL9 gun is better than the 105mm gun on the M4 Revolutionary is penetration. The BL9 gets 226mm of penetration. This tank gets 200 with its standard ammunition, but its standard ammunition is APCR. And as you can see, and as that Leopard just found out the hard way, it has the same alpha damage as the BL9 gun, 390. And the fact that this is APCR ammunition as standard, with a faster flight time, combined with the much better accuracy of .36 compared to the BL9's .4, means that you can snap shots much better than you could ever do with a Soviet 122mm. So it's a medium tank with a really big gun. It sounds a bit Chinese really, doesn't it? Because that's the Chinese thing, isn't it? Medium tanks that get the choice between your traditional medium tank guns, 85mm, 100mm, or heavy tank guns, 122mm. Chinese tanks like the Tier 8 T-34-2, which gets a choice between a bunch of 100mm, 85mm, or a really big 122mm gun, which has 390 alpha damage, but doesn't aim as quickly, isn't as accurate, has a worse rate of fire, and even has worse penetration. This is actually a very good gun. The gun, however, is just about the only really good thing about this tank. I mean, the mobility isn't terrible. It's a Sherman after all. Top speed of 40 km/h, power to weight ratio of over 13 horsepower per ton, but this is not a brawling tank. The 105mm gun does fire faster than the 122mm gun on the T-34-2 and any of the 122mm on the Soviet heavies, but that doesn't mean it fires quickly. You're trying to brawl with this thing, the DPM just is not up to par. You're going to get hammered, and you're not going to bounce any shots because your armour is absolutely terrible. At heart, this thing is still just a Tier 5 M4 Sherman, but sniping only works as long as the rest of your team are alive. And on this side of the map at least, hardly anybody on his team is left alive. The SU-100Y box tank over there just took a hit. He's waiting for somebody to pop around the corner so he can take another shot, but he's just been taken out. Now hopefully friendly artillery is paying attention, because Komodo Dagger is now the only thing between these guys and them, and his shot at the TVP there very disappointingly merely immobilised him, but friendly artillery is paying attention, and the TVP gets taken out by the GW Panther, and that's when, well, the VK was angling as best he possibly could, but 200mm of penetration with the standard APCR on this thing is easily good enough to overmatch his side armour. And the ELC decides, screw that, I'm going somewhere else. And he probably wouldn't be backing off like that if he had any other kind of support. Unfortunately, it's not looking too good on this side either. E25 managed to sneak through the town. Oh, there's the Leopard. He's going to finish the Leopard off and he hammer racks him with 60 health. It's a bit insulting really, isn't it? Anyway, Komodo Dagger thinks that he's in a one-on-one against this E25. Newsflash, he isn't. He's actually in a 3-on-1. His engine just got taken out by the ELC that sneaked up behind him. He's still focused on the E25, turns, looks around, realises he can one-shot the ELC, takes him out. Now he does not actually notice the AMX CDC that just popped up and put a shot into him from above. The E25 pops out and takes another shot. He manages to hit the E25, he's now one shot. The Unbelievably, the CDC failed to penetrate, hit at an extreme angle. He's going to finish the CDC off, but he does take another hit. And now the E25 comes out. And with the rate of fire on this thing's gun, he's probably going to hit him again before he can shoot. And possibly even again. He did, but he does manage to finish off the E25. And that right there is why the M4A1 Ravioli is not a brawling tank, because your armour is terrible. All you have to brawl with is your health bar. Unfortunately, his engine got knocked out again, and he's already used his repair kit to fix it the first time. So he doesn't even have the mobility going for him now. Look at this, he's struggling to do 10 kilometers per hour. And there are still 4 enemy tanks left. One of them's an IS-3, one of them's a Super Pershing. And with 161 health remaining, everything left alive on the enemy team, the artillery, the Super Pershing and the IS-3, can all one-shot him. Stuck out on the northern flank like this, he's too far away from his 2 surviving teammates, the Chaffee and the KV-3, to even be able to see how much health they have remaining. I'm not entirely sure why he decided to flank around. I mean, he's up here anyway. Maybe that's why, but with his engine knocked out, if they lose the Chaffee and the KV-3, and the enemy team start capping, with his engine knocked out, is he going to be able to make it back in time? I mean, look at the speed he's doing here. Speed is the wrong word for it. My grandmother can move faster than this. Well, there's the enemy IS-3. Now he's taken some damage, and yet he's still in the cap circle. Is he AFK? Well, he may be. There's the Chaffee. Oh, he might take the Super Pershing out. The Super Pershing's well, he's not one shot. The Chaffee's going to have to know the Super Pershing killed the Chaffee. Alright. That just leaves the KV-3. And again, KV-3, too far away, doesn't have radio contact, he cannot see how much health the KV-3 has. Spoiler, KV-3 has very, very little health. In fact, I think he has less than 100 health remaining at this point, and that's why he's being very, very cautious in the city over there, although he is starting to move up. Now, about that IS-3 sitting in the cap circle, AFK or not? Well, we're going to find out, but even if he is AFK, an AFK tank can still spot you, and there are 2 artillery and a premium tier 8 medium in play. And this is where Komodo Dagger gets lucky and spots the M40. Now, 400 health, 390 alpha damage. He was going to need a good damage roll to one-shot kill him. He didn't one-shot kill him, but he is going to get the second shot off. And he didn't get spotted when he fired the first shot. He is going to get spotted when he fires the second shot, however. And there's the other artillery, the M44 and the IS-3 again. So he guns the engine as best he can, aided slightly by the fact that it was on a downhill slope. He managed to get some speed up, pokes out around the corner, and this is where we find out that the IS-3 is in fact AFK. He must have taken a hit from artillery earlier when somebody rushed up and spotted him in the cap circle. While he's aiming up for his second shot, which misses completely by the way, no idea why, there's a bit of action going on off camera. The KV-3 just nailed the Super Pershing, and there we saw him fractionally just as he got shotgunned by the M44. So Komodo Dagger's the last tank left on his team now, but he should, providing he can hit him, there we go, finish off the IS-3. That just leaves him and the M44. That should be easy, right? Well, the KV-3 thought so. Look what happened to him. See, the thing about the M44, ooh, that was close but not close enough. The thing about the M44 is it can be a little bugger to chase down and kill. It's a lot like the FE304, the infamous Bert the Avenger. It's got a power to weight ratio not far short of 20 horsepower per ton that would put light tanks to shame, and it's got a top speed in excess of 56 kilometers per hour. And it has a 155mm gun with an average damage of 700, providing it penetrates, but when you have 50mm of armour and 161 health, the M44 does not need to penetrate to kill Komodo Dagger. And under the best possible circumstances, Komodo Dagger would have a hard time chasing an M44 down with a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour to the M44's 56. But he's had his engine knocked out, and he's struggling to do 10 kilometers per hour. The M44, however, doesn't know that. If the M44 at this point had run to cap, he would have won the game, no question about it. But he does not know that Komodo Dagger's engine has been crippled. Now you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, if he's had his engine knocked out and he's struggling to go anywhere, why doesn't he sit in the cap circle? Why doesn't he force the issue and make the M44 come after him? I mean, he was right there next to the enemy cap circle. There's still 5 minutes of the game left, but why not force the M44 to come to him? Well, yeah, he could have done that, but it's really, really risky. Okay, he's in a medium tank, he's got far superior view range to the M44. He should see the M44 before the M44 sees him. That is, of course, assuming that the M44 is a complete idiot and just drives straight across the open. I think we can safely assume that with 2 kills under his belt, the M44 is not an idiot. And so, giving your position away, saying, hey, here I am in the cap circle, come and take a shot at me, the M44 is going to use concealment. And he's probably going to get the first shot off. Now, yes, okay, Komodo Dagger does have 6th sense, so if he is sitting in the cap circle, the M44 spots him and starts aiming at him, he's going to know about it. But it's a hell of a risk to take, especially when the game depends on it. You can see he's trying to get around the corner of the church here without knocking the tree over, but fails. And what he's doing now, he's using his 6th sense. He's poking the corner, assuming that the M44 is heading for his cap. And he keeps popping out and pulling back, not giving the M44, if he is there, the chance to take a shot, and waiting to see if 6th sense goes off. That's going to tell him where the M44 is before anything else does. Nothing happened. Moves around to check the city. Again, poking, waiting to see if 6th sense goes off. At this point, he's pretty sure that the M44 is not directly threatening his cap. He has to be in the centre of town. There he is! Slams the brakes on. Let it aim. Let it... Well, we didn't let it aim. He'd have looked pretty stupid if that one had missed. But, well, it didn't. The M44's dead, and there's his Radley Walters, as well as an Ace Tanker badge. And of course, it's a Tier 8 premium, so you're never going to lose money driving this tank. He made a gross total of 97,638 credits on that match. And he runs a premium account, so that came out to a net profit of 76,000 credits. Even if he'd been running a standard account, he would have still earned 44,000 credits on that match. He could even have afforded to fire a few rounds of premium ammunition in that game and still made a profit. But, well, everything that he was shooting at, 200mm of penetration, was perfectly adequate, so he never needed to fire any of his high explosive anti-tank ammo. Taking a look at the team scores there, obviously no big surprise, with just over 3,000 damage done. Komodo Dagger by far top of the team on damage and experience. But have a look at the enemy team. 5 of the enemy tanks did no damage. That's a third of the enemy team. May as well not have bothered turning up. And 2 of them were the Tier 8s. Now, okay, one of them was the AFK IS-3, so no big surprise that he did no damage. But what I thought particularly amusing, actually there were 2 things that I thought were particularly amusing. The first is that he's not the only Tier 8 on that team that didn't do any damage. Right there above him on the team list is an ISU-152 who managed to do no damage in a Tier 8 game. How is that even possible? And in fact only managed to scrape in with 4 more experience than an AFK IS-3. And one other thing that I failed to notice at the time that it happened, but we're just going to go back and pay attention to the combat messages above the minimap. There's a KV-4 on the enemy team who did very, very well. He also did over 3,000 damage. In fact, was only second to the Super Pershing in damage done. Right at the point where Komodo Dagger is fighting off the ELC, E25 and CDC. There, did you see it? No? Okay, we'll go back again, but this time I'll zoom up the mini-map. Watch this. There he is, down at the southern end of the map. He's just about to ford the river there at the harbour mouth entrance. He's going after the KV-3. And... oh, that's not the... in fact, he has in fact drowned himself. Which was great news for the KV-3. And great news for Komodo Dagger, because with a damaged engine, 200mm of penetration and 161 health, you don't want to be chasing a KV-4 into a city. If not for that sudden rush of shit to the brain on behalf of the KV4 driver, who up until that point was having a very, very good game, he'd already done 3,000 damage, I suspect Komodo Dagger wouldn't have been celebrating the result of this match. But he did screw up, he paid the price, and Komodo Dagger managed to get a Radley Walters, Ace Tanker, and Top Gun. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Komodo Dagger, thank you for sending that one in, very amusing. And as always folks, take care, and I'll catch you next time.